In 1972, Dr. Fred L. Whipple suggested that Uranus and Neptune are big comets.
Oh, really? Uranus, Neptune, and if I take Neil Degrasse Tyson's word, Pluto, giant comets. That's fascinating. Very fascinating.
His theory is that billions of small cometesimals make up those planets. Whipple, by the way, is the astronomer who in the early 1950s proposed a model of the average comet which seems to fit observations of comets.
Of course, it's probably way more than that.
This is a Thor News presentation.
Doesn't matter what I believe.
Hit the button, baby. Stay cool.
NASA just found something big hiding out behind Pluto by Julia Calderon. If the title of this article shocked you, it should. It's a clickbait article that got me hook, line, and sinker. But have no fear, there's some real science to be found here. NASA and the team behind its New Horizons spacecraft announced today that Pluto, the dwarf planet, has a giant gas tail. It's not a physical tail like a dog's, of course, but rather a frigid cloud of ionized gases trailing an estimated 48,000 to 68,000 miles behind Pluto. According to a NASA press release, this giant tail is actually part of Pluto's atmosphere, except that the bits of the atmosphere are being stripped away by solar wind, a torrent of electrically charged particles that constantly pour out of the sun in all directions. So this is saying that the sun's solar wind is tearing off Pluto's atmosphere, giving it a comet-like effect. But it is interesting, though, that science likes to tell us that in places like Pluto, it can rip off the atmosphere. And in places like Mars, the sun's solar wind can rip off the atmosphere. But in places like Earth, nope. Sun can't affect the climate, dude. That would be carbon. Science is real interesting if you listen to it and read between the lines. You see, we see the atmosphere way far out, said Randy Gladstone, a New Horizons co-investigator at Southwest Research Institute in San Antonio, said during a NASA press conference on Friday. We see it from the ground out to 1,000 miles above the surface. That is big and long. Because Pluto is such a tiny planet, it's a fraction of a percent as massive as the Earth. Its atmosphere escapes directly into space, Gladstone said. And I did a bunch of research on Pluto before. And Neil Degrasse Tyson said, hey, Pluto's not a planet, it's more like a comet. And I thought that was fascinating. And technically, if it is melting, wouldn't it losing mass cause its interaction with gravity around the sun cause its orbit to change? Interesting thoughts to ponder. Gladstone and others discovered the tail after examining data from the solar wind around Pluto, SWAP instrument on the New Horizons spacecraft. The device found an anomaly in the solar wind around the dwarf planet, a depression composed of nitrogen ions. This depression is in the tail, and it extends an unknown length behind its planet. We have actually flown through this tail. Fran Begnell, a New Horizons co-investigator from the University of Colorado at Boulder, said during the press conference. Ionized gas forms when a bunch of energy pummels atmospheric atoms and molecules. This bombardment pops electrons off the atmospheric gas particles, allowing their electrons to freely circulate. The end result is plasma, a fourth state of matter after solids, liquids, and gases. As far as we know, plasma is the most common state of matter in the universe. There's simply a lot of energy pouring out of stars and a lot of gas in space to form plasma. So while it might seem surprising, plasma tails like Pluto aren't new. They even exist behind other planets in the solar system, including Mars and Venus. And I would guess Earth. The team still hasn't determined the precise shape of Pluto's new discovered tail. The team still hasn't discovered the precise shape of Pluto's newly discovered tail. They also don't know exactly how the was formed. What? They also don't know exactly how the was formed. That must be code. My Business Insider decoder ring is still stuck in the mail. Hey, Stalwart, can you help me out with that? So NASA is anxiously waiting for New Horizons to beam back more data. By August, The team hopes to calculate how fast Pluto is losing its atmosphere to space, and likewise how quickly the icy world is shrinking. That's freaking fascinating. And coincidentally enough, it looks like Eris is behind Pluto. So luckily enough, the New Horizons spacecraft will be flying out into that area looking at other things. Who knows? Will it find Planet X the next? Planet X? I don't know. One thing's for sure. C'est la vie 2015. You know what I'm saying? God bless everybody. Have a great weekend. And that's fine.